There he is.
Hello.
Hey,
How are
buddy.
you?
Man, I ain't seen y'all clowns since we had a black president.
That's right. That was we had a big boycott. Yeah, we
That's
stopped
what-
seeing you right after
I feel
Obama
like
left office.
I feel like it's been so long since I've seen y'all. I feel like it's been that long for real.
I know. How are you, man?
I'm good, man. Y'all didn't. I don't know if I can say this, but I hadn't seen y'all since y'all switched clubs.
Yeah. No, you're able to say that. Yeah, because I haven't seen you in your comedy club.
Yeah.
When's the last time you did stand-up comedy?
I did Butterboy before the pandemic.
What is that?
Yeah, so shortly before the pandemic, and I did the Knitting Factory, but it's difficult because like people, you guys ask for avails, and I was putting in avails, but then working at Vice, I can go in on Monday and they're like, can you be in Chicago on Wednesday? You don't want to be that comic that's always canceling.
Right.
So it's bittersweet. Like, I did comedy to get on TV. Now I'm on TV, and then it's,
Where are you, by the way?
I'm at my mom's place in Florida, in Tallahassee. Yeah, I was when the apocalypse hit. I was like, yo, this place to be.
Did you get out of here right when it started?
Well, it's crazy. I was on a story in South Carolina, and then they pulled people from the field, and I was like, I'm just gonna drive home.
Oh wow.
People, yeah.
Can you talk about the Vice stuff and everything?
Yeah, I can talk about whatever. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get started. We're gonna do our little intro now.
Yeah.
No. Hi everybody, welcome back.
Hey everybody, welcome back.
It's episode. Thank you, Steve. It's episode 74 with one of our favorites that's been on with us before, with Christine Berg, and the baby was with us that one night. You remember that?
That's right.
Alzo Slade, everyone.
Welcome, Alzo.
Being here. Also, please take a quick listen to this from one of our Paper House Network shows, Pink Among Men. Welcome, Alzo.
What's up?
So how are you doing? First of all, like, how are you doing with the quarantine? How's it going?
I'm chilling. Wait, is this a show or a podcast?
It's a podcast. It's barely either, but technically it's a podcast.
We ain't got Vice money.
Man, the quarantine, man, it's I mean, like everybody else, just trying to make the most of it. Like, as comics, we are like, solitude is our general disposition. So this ain't really nothing for us to be tripping on. I still got a job, I'm still getting paid. So
you're a correspondent for Vice on HBO.
You didn't have to make that sound.
Fancy Vice. And so
it's on Showtime now. It's not on HBO anymore.
Is that true?
Yeah.
We do a lot of research for this.
Yeah, that's scandalous stuff.
Where are your researchers? Where are your associate producers?
Right, it's a quarantine.
Yeah. Graduate college. Real drop the ball on this one, Dine. Okay, so
how did you get involved with Vice, with the show?
It was through comedy, actually. My managers were like, yo, I know, we love your comedy, there's a intellectual curiosity in there. And so this opportunity came up at Vice because they were looking for people to be on air that weren't journalists. They were trying to do an experiment, so to speak, to see if they could, spice it up a little bit, put some funk in there.
Some funk.
And so I went in for a screen test. Yo, and what's crazy is they had me do a mock interview with a person that was supposed to be Dennis Rodman.
Oh, no way.
But the person that was supposed to be Dennis Rodman was a middle-aged white woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sitting there and I'm, like I did my research, Dennis Rodman, he's been in North Korea, Kim Jong-un. So I did all the political, questions and whatnot. And they were like, Alzo, we just need you to be yourself. And I was like,
Well, what
okay,
were you trying to be?
you know, but like I guess they felt I was trying to be too much like a correspondent, like
Okay.
usually. And they were like, we just need you to be yourself. That's why we asked you. I said, are you sure? And they said, yeah. So I leaned in and I was like, yo, Dennis, you keep going to North Korea. It can't just be about politics. I know you trying to get up on some of the North Korean booties over there.
And how'd that lady respond?
Yo, she was like, I said, how are the women in North Korea? And she said, there's a nice crop of them.
Nice.
Yo,
Aaron.
but she surprised herself.
Yeah.
She started out laughing, and I was like, I'm not getting this gig. There's no way they're getting this gig for me. And then next thing you know, they called me in for, to meet the EPs, and a year and a half later, boom.
That's awesome.
So, do you remember the first story you worked on for Vice?
Do you remember?
Yes.
What was it? Let's go into that. We're good at interviewing too.
The first story I worked on at Vice was the Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh yeah.
Hearings.
Right.
And this is not a flex, but the reason I remember it so vividly is we got an Emmy for it.
Right. Did you each get an Emmy? How did it work? And can we have yours? Is really the question.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Listen.
How much pussy are you getting right now?
I started to just make a replica of it, a miniature replica. You know what I'm saying? And
just sell them in Times Square. Yeah.
Yeah, just walk around with it with my shirt off. After this pandemic, my chest hair is gonna be strong.
That's funny.
Let the little Emmy emblem hang in my chest hair. You know what I'm saying?
So does everybody get one, or do they give one to like the EP or however it works?
Vice gets one.
Mm-hmm.
And then depending on what your role was in the story, that will determine if you are qualified to receive one. And if you are, you got to pay for that joker.
Wait, really?
Yes.
What do you have to pay?
It's at least like $400 some.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. But
I had no idea.
But
I haven't won one.
But to Vice's credit, they paid for everybody.
Oh, it's cool.
You could have led with that. I just started a GoFundMe.
Right.
That's your next piece on Vice, is about how expensive Emmys are. People are going to really connect with that.
Bro, yo, I did a bit about that on stage.
Yeah.
They introduced me as like the Emmy Award winning such and such, and I was like, whoa.
Paid for that.
I was like, let me address this. First of all, have you ever done a group project where you didn't do a lot of work, but you got A+?
That's funny.
That's me.
I mean, honestly, it was probably your bit about walking that really sealed the deal for this gig. Alzo's got about 8 or 9 minutes on walking that is absolutely hysterical, and it just keeps going, and it's unbelievable. We had a show at Stand Up New York one night, and Ian Fidance was on, and Ian's hosting, and he comes out as Alzo was doing his set. He was like, I want to go home and start writing. He was like, this is like insane to me. Yeah. It was
that bit is about 8-9 minutes.
Let's get into some of the stuff you've been doing. So we were watching some of the things that you were working on.
Oh, you did some research.
Oh yeah, we did do research. We're not great about conveying the research that we've done, but we do it.
Oh man,
we were even trying to look up making a GIF of your reaction when you were doing the abortion camp.
Oh my God.
And one where that one woman is always off in the background.
Yeah.
So can you set it up for the listener? Like, what exactly was this? What was this group of people? Like, tell us about your experience with that.
I'll try to be brief. So in Houston, there's a pro-life boot camp or anti-abortion boot camp, whichever side you sit on. And they have it's a nonprofit organization that's pro-life, and they have they invite college students who are advocates for pro-life, anti-abortion to train. They bring them there, and they have them there for at least a week. They pay for their meals. They put them up in a hotel, and they train them on how to be pro-life advocates, better pro-life advocates on their respective campuses throughout Texas.
And we saw, so what was interesting to us, and I would like to know how it was in the moment, especially when you're sitting outside having lunch and the gentleman's talking about embryos and you're just going in after all the fries.
Yo, listen, I'm gonna tell you, they had some, let me tell you about these fries. They were sweet potato fries with like some honey syrup drizzle on them. Yo.
This poor kid.
It was so funny because
talking about embryos.
It was like you were not slowing down. It was like, oh yeah,
no,
what's the difference between Jews and babies? And you're like, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the annoying thing, it seemed like for you, is that this organization had a handler who was sort of behind the camera and would come in and edit when you were asking them a question. They would sort of intercede. And there's one particular moment where you're asking 3 of the college students a question, and she intercedes again, and you just roll your eyes. And Dine, our intern, was trying to learn how to make GIFs, and she's definitely going to get it at some point.
What's up, Dine?
Yeah. And so, yeah, there's a great little video of you rolling your eyes there. So was it really tough with her around?
Well, you know, my thing was, what I do like about working advice and doing what I do is, you know, I challenge my preconceived notions in order to try to understand all sides of an issue from everybody who's involved, right? And so these students, they come and they're really sincerely believe in the cause of pro-life, you know, and so I'm trying to understand their perspective. And it's hard to do that when you have the adult handler there that's trying to parse their words and trying to make sure they don't say the wrong thing. And I'm like, well, what is this? What are you guys doing really? Are you training them, or are you trying to educate them to think on their own? Because there's a big difference between the two, you know?
And you ask a great question in the scene where you were eating the fries. You might not remember because of the fries, but you ask a great question about, are you teaching them to think critically about both sides of the issue, or are you teaching them like, this is the way to think about it, now here's how you teach other people about it? And none of them could answer it. Well,
the first part of it that you got right, but the second part was like so I asked, are you guys here to learn how to think critically about both sides of the issue, or are you here just to be trained on how to defeat someone in an argument?
Right.
That's arguing on the side of pro-choice, and they couldn't answer it, and it was just silence. And that's
how many of those questions do you go over ahead of time with your producer's advice, and how much freedom do you have in the moment to, if you think of a question, to ask it?
Oh, there's a framework that, you know, is like, okay, we're here to tell a story, give them a platform to tell their story. And so there's certain things that the producer wants to know from them that I want to know. And so we'll compile like a rough list of questions, like a framework, but I'd rather it be much more conversational than an interrogation. So I have those questions in mind, but if the conversation goes a place that I find interesting, then I just rock with it. You know?
That's great.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a situation that you felt super uncomfortable, or because the fun thing about the Vice shows is the music they can put on in any situation, and it's very dramatic.
Yeah. That's real. That's real.
Like if we had that playing right now, they would be like, oh.
It'd be like, yo, they going deep, yo.
But I mean, you talk to pedophiles, you've been in some certain situations that are obviously quite jarring, but have you ever felt uncomfortable, or like you had to rethink what you were doing, or wanted to get out of it, or you had to do something different?
I've never felt uncomfortable. I've felt in interviews, like I do my best to give people the benefit of the doubt, you know, because I don't have all the answers, and I'm not there to be the smartest person on camera. Like I'm just there to ask questions and satisfy people's curiosity. And so I'm usually there as a proxy for the audience. And so there have been times where I'm like, bruh, I'm like, yo, there've been literally times where I've been on camera and I'm like, you know, you full of shit.
Right.
You know it. You know what I'm saying? and you know I really can't say it in that way, but I don't have a good poker face. So my friends will call me up afterwards and they're like, Alzo, you gotta learn how to put your face, bro.
Well, that's why they hired you, though, also, because it's sort of like the face of what we're all thinking. Well,
Yeah.
a lot of times when, I mean, that's, you know, why they hired people that weren't, you know, quote unquote journalists.
Yeah. And I don't want to take anything away from my fellow correspondents there, because they got their own style, and they're like, it's a lot of them there that I admire. I'm like, damn, they
match you up. Like, so if there's certain stories they want to cover, they think, oh, this person would be great for this.
Yeah, how's that selection process?
Yeah, so anybody advice can pitch a story. So if you pitch a story and it gets greenlit, then automatically you're pretty much on the story. So as a correspondent, if I pitch a story, it's my story. Unless I feel like maybe I'm not the best person to do it. And I've done that. That happened to me once. Like I pitched a story about the Women's March, and the research that I did took me down a path to where I was like, it's probably not the best idea for a dude to be doing the story. And so I gave it up. But
so you came up with the stories.
Say what?
So you were the one that came up with the stories? The pedophilia, abortion, you know.
Oh yeah, not all of them. Yeah, not all of them. So some of the stories producers will pitch, and then a producer will maybe like, I think Alzo, you be good on this. Do you want me to put your name on it? Do you want to work with me on this? Or it could be something an executive producer discovered, and in the pitch meeting they're like, hey, we think this would be a good story to cover. Who's interested? And then a couple producers may throw up their hands, and then a couple correspondents, and then through the research, it just figures itself out.
Have you ever gone into a story with one opinion, and then after having done it, you switch to the other side? Like, has that happened for you?
Not necessarily switched completely to the other side, but damn near every time I do a story, I come out of it thinking differently than I did going in. And I feel like why do this job if you're not gonna open yourself up to the growth in that way? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't. Yeah. Now, like even with the pedophilia thing, like when he told me that pedophilia.
Google it now.
Huh? We going there. When the dude said, when the doctor said, pedophilia is a sexual orientation, I was like, yeah, that's tough. It's tough for me to take that step right there. Yeah. Now, the idea of you being a pedophile, or somebody being a pedophile, and they can't get help without running the risk of being, locked up. I was like, what? That should probably change. Like, you should be able to get help if you know the feelings that you have are wrong, and you don't want to act on them, and you're trying to suppress them, and you're doing all that by yourself. You should be able to get help.
Right. So what he's referencing for the listener is this piece that he did with people called non-offending pedophiles, which are people who are intrinsically like attracted to children sexually, but claim to have never done anything like physically with them, and they seek out help. And it's very hard because apparently you obviously right away you get on so many watch lists, and it's very stigmatized.
Also, my daughter doesn't even brush her teeth. Like, I mean, like, kids are gross. So it's like, you gotta really want it.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Even the candy.
What was it like before everything shut down with COVID? What was it like balancing your careers? Like, you have a lot that you do. So between Vice, between stand-up, and you also are a photographer, like, how was that?
Well, that and the biscuits and gravy, although I'm sure that's on.
It's grits and biscuits.
Grits and biscuits?
Yes.
Are those the parties that you never invited me to?
Yes, no. I've never been invited to one either.
That is not true. I've invited you both.
That's not true. So, Alzo, I think it was you and your brother, like, you throw these big parties.
They're massive.
Yes, right. me, my brother, and we have a business partner. It's 3 of us.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to meet them, but I haven't been invited, so it's hard to meet them.
So really?
Whenever I would see Alzo, I would go, buddy boy, when are we hitting this party? I'm
No,
not a fun guy. I will not enjoy it. I'll leave early.
You've never said those words to me. You've definitely never said buddy boy to me.
Palomino, whatever we call each other. We have a lot of fun.
You know, Alzo's a big hit with the ladies.
There
was the lady that would leave notes for you on your truck outside of Marshall's, because Stand Up New York was around the corner from Marshall's, and there was a woman that worked inside of Marshall's, and I guess watched him go in and out. Which, if you swap the genders there, it's like, okay.
No, then it's a Vice story, yeah.
Yo, see, I was working on the inside scoop right there, boy.
You're undercover.
Yeah, that was weird for a minute, yo.
Yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I asked you about like balancing your careers. What was that like? Was that difficult?
A lot.
Yeah, it was because a little bit, but with the parties, it kind of worked. It's gotten to the point to where it was working as a well-oiled machine. You know, we have people in place to, you know, and people know our brand and they trust us. I think more difficult thing to do was to balance Vice with comedy.
Yeah.
You know, like you got to give up something to get something, right? And so I really missed the stage. And then, you know, with all the travel that you do with Vice, like it's so much material, you know,
right.
Like I'd be writing stuff, but I'd have no time or place to perform it, you know? And so it got to the point to where I couldn't put in my availability to clubs because my traveling schedule was so sporadic to where I'd have to cancel a lot. And so I just...
Yeah, I would harass him every week.
Yeah.
But then, I'm kind of in Moscow.
but then it got to the point to where like Candy would hit me up and be like, "Are you in town tonight?" And I'd be like, yes, I'm in town. Let's go. What do you need me to do? Like a noon show on Tuesday? Let's do it.
And are you filming? I know that I saw that you did like social distance stuff, but you're filming stuff now? Like, how is that working?
Well, yeah, they pulled us from the field and I was quarantined like everybody else for like the first 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And then we did a story about closing and the opening of beaches in Florida. And so since I was already in Florida, it was much easier for me to do it because if anybody had come from somewhere else, they'd have to quarantine for 2 weeks before doing anything. So we hired local crew here in Florida. And one of the producers from Vice was actually doing the same thing I was doing, but he was doing it in Miami, so he drove up.
Oh, wow. So you went to the beaches. From what I understand, there's 2,500 new cases with the beaches being open for a week.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one of those things, right? Where, Steve, you asked me, did I go in with one opinion and come out with another? You know, the story hadn't come out yet, so I don't want to give away too much tea, but like you see the news and you're like, man, these people are crazy for wanting to open up the beaches and open up the economy. And then you go there and you see these folks and you're like, it's a small town, Destin. Like we weren't in Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Right.
You know, it's a small town where the majority of their business is through tourism and the beaches, right? So opening the beaches is a proxy for opening the economy. And you sitting there with these people and you're like, they're trying to weigh public health concerns with economic interest, you know, domestic violence up, you know, child abuse up, depression, alcoholism. And it's easy for me to say, yo, you guys need to just wait. The medical professionals are telling you guys to just chill. Don't open up the beaches yet, but I got a job. I'm getting paid.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These people got, you know, kids and mortgages and rent. And so I still think public health concerns should outweigh economic interest, but it's not as easy to say that when you're down there looking these people in the eyes and they're struggling.
Does any story come to mind when you think of the most difficult one that you've covered in any way?
There's a couple. Well, there's a couple that are difficult in different ways.
What comes to mind?
I went to Russia, to Dagestan, Russia. So there are 35 Russians in the UFC in the United States. 21 of them come from Dagestan. So I went to
the old man that, what am I doing?
I don't know what you're
doing. On his hands?
Yeah. So I went to Dagestan to see what they put in the water to make them such great fighters. And I didn't just interview them, I trained with them in the mountains. Yo, I thought I was in shape. That them boys, it's like modern day Sparta out there.
Right.
Like they train them to wrestle from like 8 years old.
Wow.
That's why they have so many, right? Yeah.
Everybody fights out there. So that was.
But their health is okay? Like, I mean, like, as they get older, like, do they have problems physically?
Man, they Russians. I feel like.
Vodka in their blood.
You know what I'm saying? Dude drank a whole glass of vodka straight.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's not a stereotype, it's like a real thing.
It's a real, So Russians are tough already. But look, who was that back there?
Lucy. Hey, Luce.
Can you do it in a half hour?
That's great.
Happy belated Mother's Day.
Things are going great in here. Can you be quiet? Lucy, seriously, I'm taping a podcast. I will get it. I'm fine. To go on about the pedophilia?
What's up?
Is this a cereal? Yeah, Lucy, not here.
Hey, Lucy. Lucy. That cereal look way too healthy for your age. Where are the like Frosted Flakes and the
Fruit Loops?
She gets on Friday. Also, she eats nothing but bagels and frozen yogurt all day, and then sits on her computer in bed. She just ate a candy bar on my pillow. So.
No, I ate it on my pillow, not yours.
So you're gonna swap out the pillows?
Yes.
God bless.
This was all planned. We were ready for this.
Wait. But you guys edit this, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to polish a turd, as they say.
I know.
You know, it's like we can edit it, but you know, in the end.
I'll do it. Seriously.
I didn't eat breakfast.
Yes, you did, and you ate it too.
This is really good.
I'm calling CPS on candy.
You know, we have no schedule right now, right? And it's just like you're kind of sent assignments. Even, you know, Khalees Hawkins sent me a text today, and she was like, well, how are you handling this? She was like, Asha's up all night, and then she sleeps all day. And I'm like, yeah, it's the same. It's like prison rules. Like, we don't, like, nothing is, as long as they're happy.
Yeah.
I guess.
Who are you staying with in Florida?
My mom.
Cool. And is she doing well?
My father lives here too, so I've been like tilling the land. He lives on 7 acres.
I saw your videos.
Yeah, like yo, that shit is some hard work. I couldn't have been no sharecropper back in the day. Like, shout out to my ancestors. Like that, yo, this is the real deal.
That's great.
Yeah.
So another one that was difficult for you besides physical training.
I just did one about stolen land.
Mm-hmm.
Like where, like after the Civil War, Black people owned about 16 million acres of land, and through like legal trickery and intimidation and outright violence, it's now down to less than 3 million. But there's still a law on the books that allows developers and investors to come take advantage of Black families that own land. It's not just Black families, but for the most part, it is Black families that own land, and they can force them to sell it. And so I sat down with the elder matriarch of a family who owned 480 acres of land, and they got it taken away from them.
Wow.
Recently, or?
Yeah. That was tough. Like
so what do they do? Is there any recourse for that family after that? Like, what can they do?
I mean, they get paid for the land because it goes to auction. But I mean,
the choice in that it goes to auction or not.
Yeah, so just to for the listeners out there, to explain it briefly, it's called heirs property. So if your great grandfather owned 100 acres of land and they had 10 kids, those 10 kids own the land after he passes away, but he didn't put in the will a property manager, nor did he split it specifically like these 10 acres belong to you, these 10 acres belong to you. So all 10 people own it together, right? So if they want to do anything with it, like if they want to, put a subdivision on it, they want to lease it to a timber company or something, they have to get buy-in from all 10 members. Now, if those 10 people have kids, then the parents pass away, then it goes to them. So after a few generations, it could be anywhere to 50 to 60 people that own this property together. Now, if I'm a developer or an investor and I want that land, all I have to do is, let's say, contact Steve, who lives in New York. The land is Alabama, and in Alabama, Steve is one of the people that owns it. I'm like, Steve, I'll give you $50,000 for your interest in this land. You ain't even ever been to the land. Your generation's removed, but you're an heir of the property. So you like, I can use that 50K. So I give you 50K. Now I'm part owner of the land. I want to do with land. I take the family to court and force them to sell it.
Wow. So are they trying to basically close that loophole now?
Yeah, there's a law professor at Texas A&M. He's in the P's. He has a law that he's passing. He's passed in 16 states, and he's working on other states.
Okay.
To close it. So this family that I'm telling you about, they were at the auction. So when the court, they take them to court, and the court says this land has to go up for auction, and the developer has the money, but you also have an opportunity to raise the money yourself. The family was $5,000 short of buying it. But what's crazy, it's their land, and they got to raise money to buy, you know what I'm saying?
To buy their own land.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, speaking of professors, we used to be a professor of philosophy, right?
Yeah.
So first of all, what was that like? Did you enjoy that career? And also, do you ever apply the things that you learned from that in your interviews?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't much of a career. Like, I mean, I taught for like 5 years, and I love it, bro. If I could get paid doing it,
yeah,
I'd do it. But
well, our Dine just graduated, or is graduating from Fordham with a philosophy degree.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yo, I got accepted to Fordham for a PhD in philosophy, but I didn't go because they didn't want to give me no money.
Oh, really?
So Don, you already know how like philosophy plays a role in comedy because it's human observation, plays a role in like interviewing people because it's, philosophy is based in curiosity. So as much as people clown, and I even clown myself about having a master's degree in philosophy and teaching it, but everything that I do, I use it.
That's great.
Yeah. I never thought ever that I would be a philosophy major, and then I got to college and I was like, I think this is the best one actually out of all of them. But,
all straight A's, by the way.
What?
Yes, Dine got all straight A's. She just graduated with all straight A's.
Wait, so you just graduated this semester?
I graduate on Saturday.
Oh, so you're a pandemic graduate.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's kind of dope.
I'm graduating on
spin.
Yeah, it's a PowerPoint that she has to graduate through, which is a bummer.
It's okay.
Listen, well, Lucy was just in here, and, she likes to ask a question for every show, and her question this week is about as cool as she is. How cool are you? Rate 1 to 10 and why?
That's Lucy's question?
Yeah.
Tell her to come in here and ask me herself. How cool am I?
Mm-hmm. From a scale of 1 to 10. I'm gonna be honest with you, Alzo. I think that like on a scale of like 1 to Lenny Kravitz, you're pretty cool.
Listen, but
No. You're a very cool guy, and you're a handsome man. If I could say, you're a good-looking fella,
listen.
and I think we'd have a lot of fun together.
You know what? See, I was gonna respond to this question with a joke, but things just got too real.
No, what would you rate yourself in the cool scale?
I'd say maybe like a 6.83.
No. Hard disagree vehemently.
Candy, what would you say for yourself?
Oh, for myself?
Yeah.
Like a 9.
Yeah. Big time.
What would you say, Steve?
4.5. 4.5.
Yeah.
Just that feels like my lane.
And
You're definitely higher than a 4.
Oh, well, that's why I said 4.5.
Okay. Higher than 4.5.
What would you say you are, Don?
Well, I coast off of you guys, so like
Right.
definitely brings up my average.
This podcast gives her a lot of clout.
Yeah.
Big deal.
I mean, I feel like
I'll wear gold chains just to go to the store.
I feel like that background Don has, that takes you to at least a 7.5 right there.
She's got a big one of Kris Jenner in the other room.
Okay, well
The balance.
it went to 5.
Anyway, basically, cool.
So, Alzo, you travel a ton for Vice and for everything else. This is a group question. What is the strangest thing you've ever eaten? Are you an adventurous eater?
Man, yo, when I was in Dagestan, bro, and ladies, the wrestlers, they eat sheep's fat. Have you ever heard of sheep's fat?
I mean, not in a food sense.
Hold on.
What sense have you heard it, Candy?
Sexually.
Yes, of course.
Yo, hold on. I'm about to mess y'all up. So I know there's a podcast so people can't see.
Well, we put this on YouTube as well, so it's also visual.
Oh, you do? Okay.
So we're very advanced.
So I'm about to mess you up. Hold on.
Wait, and can you tell us how this is prepared?
Right.
Huh?
How was it prepared?
It's not. It's just
walk up to a live sheep and take a bite?
well, like when you see it, it looks like it's I
It's in a burger, is what you're saying.
No. It's by itself. It's like it looks kind of like a stick of butter. So you just cut slices.
Do they think it tastes good, or do they eat it because it helps them athletically?
Cholesterol.
They say it. You see it? You see it?
Yeah.
So
it's like when you have raw eggs.
Yeah, they say
like Rocky. Yeah.
They say is their dope. Like, you know, when athletes dope.
Yeah. It's like HGH. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm trying to show you a proper picture that's gonna mess you up.
But you had it.
Yes.
And what was your reaction?
Look at this.
That's a hot ass, though.
Yeah. Sheep in Dagestan have booties, yo.
What is that?
That's a sheep booty.
It's like a Kardashian sheep.
Yes, bro.
That's a Kardashian sheep. Ian.
Wow. So it was just on a plate, and did you eat it with a fork? Like, how do you eat that?
So
that sheep just came up and went, "Hey, everybody."
So you saw that? Look at these little booties. those white booties. So they cut it. They cut it and they give it to you like on a plate. It's like an appetizer, if you will. Like if you go to their house, they'll have sheep's fat sitting right next to like some peanuts, almonds, and fruit.
That's crazy.
It's like popcorn.
And what did it taste like?
It's disgusting, yo.
Yeah.
Like you know how you're a little kid, all the food that's good for you tastes terrible.
Yeah.
And if that was the absolute correlation for all foods, this food would be the healthiest food ever.
Damn.
Oh, really?
Yes, because it tastes, yeah. And they eat it like crackers, yo.
I mean, it must make them, because do they think it tastes good, or do they know it tastes like shit and they think it helps?
They're Russians, dog. They're not gonna show you any weakness.
It's ruthless.
So when they eat it, they make it seem like they just chewing on the best piece of hamburger, steak,
Wow.
Chick-fil-A nugget, whatever.
What's the strangest thing you've ever eaten, Steve?
Oh, I don't like sour cream. That would be.
What?
I don't.
About a sheep's ass.
I don't
sour
eat
cream?
weird stuff. So I don't. If I'm like, I don't eat weird stuff. So I haven't tried anything wild. Don't like it. If I was on assignment for Vice and a guy said, "I'm going to give you a piece of a sheep's asshole," I would be like, "I'm going to get on a plane." How does that sound?
See?
That's a wrap on this story. I'm not eating a sheep's asshole. Thank you. God. What about you, Ken?
I don't know. I mean, I grew up in the South, so I feel like what would be strange to one person isn't strange to me. I mean, I've eaten gator.
You eat some chitlins?
Yeah, I used to go to the French market in the French Quarter and get gator on a stick and walk around and chew on that and have my beer in a go cup.
What does that taste like?
Chicken.
Gator's not bad, actually.
Yeah.
Dine? Anything?
I'm also not like adventurous, but I had haggis in Scotland, which wasn't like that crazy, but it was definitely.
What is that?
It's like sheep's intestine.
Oh, wow.
Sheep's a big thing.
Sheep's
Yeah.
a big thing.
We do sheep on this podcast,
Yeah.
God,
I kept with the theme.
Yeah.
I like what you did there. Also, this is important. Which movie do you most regret wasting 2 hours of your life on? Who's got an ice cream truck?
Yeah, is there an ice cream truck in the apartment?
It sounds like
I'm sorry.
God, it's like the Bronx. That's where Dine is.
God.
Worst movie.
worst movie. I've seen some bad movies, yo.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Worst movie I ever saw?
What?
Event Horizon.
What is it?
Event Horizon.
what's
I
that?
don't know it.
It's like some sort of sci-fi thing, and I think like the guy, I forget the actor. He's the guy that's also in the Matrix movies.
Keanu Reeves?
No.
Lawrence Fishburne?
Yes. He's in it. It's terrible. It's so bad. Like I saw it in the movies, and it was like the one thing, and I saw it in England. This is years ago. I walked out of there, and I was like, what? I was offended.
I think this. You know what? This may irk some people, but I think the worst movie I saw was this was a date, and I didn't know the movie. I was just trying to holler at the chick, and she
I think I know what it is.
What?
Is it The Crying Game?
No,
Okay.
it's Twilight.
Twilight. Dine feels attacked.
Let me cool down that cool factor.
Wholeheartedly agree with that. No, that was
that's funny.
terrible.
Yo, I was in there like, what the fuck is going on? Yo?
Well, the author of the books is releasing a new book, like now. Midnight Sun. Check it out.
Nah, I'm good,
Good
Don.
wreck.
I
Good
thought he
wreck.
was cool, Don. I thought.
It's from the perspective of
I'm
Edward.
going to take down your rating. Basically.
That's
I'm
right.
not a fan of the movies. I'm not a fan. I promise.
Sure.
Never read them. Never read the books either. But it's okay.
So you saw Twilight in the movies. You're one of those.
No, I'm not one of those.
Mm-hmm. Steve, worst movie you ever saw?
Do you know the movie Eraserhead?
Yeah, I love
That
that.
just sounds
Oh, I
bad.
hated it. I watched it in a class in college, and it's so weird, and it's just like
David Lynch.
I know I hated it. I couldn't stand it.
I don't see. Here's the thing about David Lynch. He was 90s fabulous. So like when I grew up, like that's when Twin Peaks came out. That's when it was Blue Velvet. All those things that were crazy. Mulholland Drive. All those things. Like there's no story. It's just all weirdness, which is not the sort of thing that I would be into. But for whatever reason, that stuff got me going.
I don't like weirdness for like weirdness sake. People
Like,
just being.
Yeah.
It's empty to me. Dine, what's your worst movie?
I mean, I can't think of one, but like Twilight was pretty bad.
But you just recommended the books. What's going on?
She's like, this is one of those things where the book is much better than the movie.
Yeah, right.
No, the books were equally as bad, but
you did read.
Didn't read.
God.
No, the second movie is the worst, I think, personally.
The what?
The second movie in the Twilight Saga is the worst.
Wait, after seeing the first, you went and saw the second?
And read the book.
And read the book?
I never read the book, but I had to see every single movie in the series just to make sure I didn't.
That's smart.
After that, with those 50 Shades movies, I was like, this can't be.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't even make it through them.
I even ordered some of the things that were in the movie.
Well, I can't be mad at you for that.
Then it was the light of day, but they even branded.
Whatever happened to the Twilight girl?
She got married.
Oh, wow. She got married. No, the girl he went to Twilight with.
Oh,
you see, Don was like, wait, is there another one?
All right, here's one, Alzo.
What's up?
Do you like when people give you gifts, or does it make you feel awkward?
I don't like when people give me generic gifts.
Okay, like what would be a generic gift for you?
Like
lotion basket?
Huh?
Like a basket of lotions and soaps?
Yeah, that's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna give me, if you don't know me, then just give me a gift card. Like if you don't know me. Right. And if you know me, then you will give me something that I'd rock with. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Like some people be coming with the like a candle or something. Be like, dog, I don't create like that.
You're saying you're not a candle man.
If I am a candle, I'll get my own candle.
You don't want somebody to impose a candle on you.
Well, it's just generic, you know?
Right. Candy, what about you?
I feel awkward. I mean, I don't think I ever did until I became a booker, and then it felt like gifts were being given to me for spots.
Right, it's a transactional thing. Right.
Yeah, like I would get some like stuff that it was clear I was just getting it because I was on a list of bookers. Or if someone gave me something, like they made a big deal about something, and it was clear like that there was a whole ulterior motive behind it. That made me feel uncomfortable. But otherwise, I really love gifts.
Yo, but Candy, I can appreciate, like you do a lot for folks, you know? And so if somebody wants to, you know, express some gratitude for that through a gift.
Well, for sure, there were definitely very like sincere moments of that happening. Yeah. But there were definitely moments that were not sincere because it would be from someone I didn't know.
Right.
You
know,
so
it'd be from somebody you hadn't done nice stuff for yet. And
Yeah, that's weird.
I feel like you get really weird about it.
Yeah.
She gets weird about a lot, but I can see she'd get uncomfortable. Steve?
I'm very appreciative if a gift comes my way. I don't, what makes me really uncomfortable is asking for gifts ever. So I don't do that. Yeah.
You know what's weird about receiving gifts? Is if you have to open the gift in front of the person that gave it.
Because then you have to put on a performance of the opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when people sing happy birthday to you. It's like, yo, just, we already here.
Just give me the sombrero. Do you hold grudges or forgive easily?
I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
Anybody got time to be holding up? That shit sucks. Because while you holding the grudge, the other person, they ain't thinking twice about the grudge that you holding.
Right.
You know what's the old saying? Holding a grudge is like drinking the poison and expecting the other person to die. Like,
Wow, that's profound.
yeah.
Have you always been that way?
Nah.
No, I feel like that was something I didn't fully understand, I think, until I had a kid, or, you know, I was at least in my 30s. It was like, I feel like there's this weird angst that it fuels, holding a grudge and having that thing you kind of hold on to when you're young.
Yeah.
It's like a weird fuel.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where you don't have time for any of that shit.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of let it go. But there are clearly a lot of people, no matter how old they are, that are big grudge holders, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dine, do you feel like that's true? Do you find that you hold grudges?
No, I don't think so. I feel like I move on too quickly though. Like I don't even get.
Yeah,
to,
I don't
like,
think you process. I think you become a punching bag. Like the opposite happens.
Yeah, but I'll get over it.
Yeah, I feel like Steve would quietly hold grudges.
Well, I will say, I pick up a lot of grudges for friends of mine, and I will make them my own grudge. So like a guy who slept with my buddy's girlfriend in middle school, I saw him last summer and I wanted to fight him last summer. I'm 27.
In middle school?
Yes, still hate him.
Wait,
Still hate him.
middle school is my daughter's age, so.
Older than that.
I was about to say, boy, y'all was getting it in back in.
Just like that will pop right back up. I won't have thought about it in 5 years, and then I'll see him and I'll be like, let's go. Let's make it happen.
Steve will, especially if he's
That's
got
unhealthy.
White Claws in him, if someone's messing with somebody, like he'll start a fight. Like we were outside New York Comedy Club for one of our parties. They like to party at New York. And someone said something to somebody, and he was all up in the face of someone that was a transsexual.
That wasn't why I was in. You need more context.
Candy, why did you have to throw that detail in there?
Alzo's going to call Vice and be like, guys, I got a scoop. There is. Have you heard of New York Comedy Club?
Like they beating up transsexuals out there in front of New York Comedy.
Steve is.
But Steve is beating up transsexual and is being sanctioned by the folks that run the club.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So do you go back on, do you have a plan right now with Vice? Like what's next for you? Or are you waiting like everybody else at this point?
What do you mean?
In terms of the next time you're going to be shooting.
Oh man, we have meetings every morning. People throwing out ideas, but you know, it's difficult right now to go out and shoot. Like they have a whole risk assessment team over at Vice to determine the level of risk for any part of any given story, not just the story itself, but they're like, okay, this is the story. What are the beats in the story? Where are you going? Who are you talking to? And in what setting will it be? And if any one of those is considered to be too risky, they won't let you do it.
Got it. So now I'm sure that's way heightened with just the way doing anything is right now.
Yeah. I mean, there's some news platforms that aren't sending people out at all. Mm-hmm. Vice, we got to be Vice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta use that music.
Exactly. You got to use that music, boy.
Is there anything else we can promote for you? You want to social media, whatever you want to do? Yeah,
just social media. Alzo, Slade, man. That's it. It's good to see y'all, man.
Thank you so much for doing this. You were excellent.
I was pleased to receive the text from Candy. I saw Candy's name pop up, and I was thinking, Alzo, are you available tonight? Big shows happening.
Well, we'll have to get you back. So when I get you up in the rooms when you get back.
I love New York Comedy Club. That's a great room. Like
that. Well, I'm the booker for Fairfield, Atlantic City, and Philadelphia. So you want to put an hour together? I'm your girl.
Candy, you always been my girl.
Well, thank you so much. It was so lovely to see you. And this goes out tomorrow, and we're very excited. And thank you.
Thank you for doing this, buddy. It's so good to see you.
Are we leaving the meeting now, or can we talk for real?
We can talk. I'm going to stop recording, though.
Yeah.